Hey everyone, Eric Watson here, freelance writer, player of games, writer, voyager, recorder of videos, and tabletop role-playing aficionado. Welcome to another DM's Guild review, my written and video review series. Take a look at the adventures and supplemental material at the Dungeon Masters Guild website. With this video, I'll be reviewing the player supplement Epic Characters designed by Marc Altfuldisch for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. This review has been sponsored and a review copy has been provided for the purposes of this review. If you are interested in a sponsored review, you can reach out to me via email or on Discord or on my submission form at roguewatson.com. And if you enjoy the content, consider using my affiliate links for online shopping and supporting me via patreon.com/roguewatson. So I'm going to guess that most of you probably don't have a lot of experience with high-level Dungeons and Dragons. I have not been playing D&D for as long as many of you have. We've been playing for about 5e's life cycle, which is about 10 years. And we've only gone beyond level 15, I believe, once. And that was because the campaign started at 13th level. So there's not a whole lot of, I think, support for the game at that level. I think the game becomes extremely unbalanced at that level. It puts a lot more work on the DM as the players become stronger and stronger. And I don't know how much of a want there is for super high level gameplay of Dungeons and Dragons, because I feel like a lot of us agree that the best kind of level range tends to be like that kind of 3rd to 10th level. And look at what all of the major campaigns are for 5th edition is basically level 3 to level 12 or so. That being said, what this book does, which this is an older book, but wanted to highlight it, is provide level progressions for going beyond level 20. So right now, basic D&D rules have us go from level 1 to 20, and at 20, you're considered that's it. You've got your capstone ability. That's as high as we have everything balanced for. But again, I'm not even sure how well balanced it is at that stage. This goes full level progression for all 14 classes, including Blood Hunter and Artificer, for levels 21 to 30. I have a little bit of experience. I have to go back about 20 years to Neverwinter Nights. One of the expansion packs, I believe, added high level play that was literally like 20 plus. And you got into like these epic levels, and you started getting like epic feats, and it was just absolutely crazy. And I think at the end you fought like Asmodeus or something crazy like that. As a DM, this terrifies me because I don't even know if I want to run, tier 4, let alone what would be considered like, 5, 6, 7 or something. But as a player, obviously there's a lot of exciting content to do. And this does, to its credit, provide a pretty balanced, decently anchored in the reality that we have of the rules of Dungeons & Dragons, rules for creating that gameplay. There's nothing here for DMs. There's no, I didn't say nothing. I mean, there's spells and things you can pull from, but there's no like monsters or adventures or anything that a DM would be able to actually throw these insanely powerful players into. But you've got everything that the player would need in order to progress past level 20 if they want to. And a lot of it just makes sense. They've got, very intuitive, everything makes sense rules in terms of here's how the general proficiency bonus goes, which actually stops it at a +6. It's got multi-classing rules, how the spell slots work as you get higher. It uses this new epic die variant that you can use, which I think I've seen before, and it may be by the same designer who then joined this design team, which has been putting out, including the really good Dune Forgotten Realms series of books. So I think that's where I've seen this before, but there's a dice that kind of ticks up the more rounds. It starts off at like at 1, and then it ticks up to 2 on round 2, and it kind of gives us like global bonus to everything, and it almost acts like a like a sudden death in a fighting game or something, where things just get harder. But instead of having it be like a very finite, like, okay, things get harder now, it's like things just gradually escalate as the fight goes. I think with the idea to make fights, speed up a little bit as everybody is just freaking godlike. But I appreciated how it really feels surprisingly balanced, and I'm already thinking that for something that is not at all very well balanced in 5e, but given the context of what we have in 5e and how class progression works, like, okay, cantrips does this much more damage as you go. You can just see how it works from, levels 1 through 20, and then just extrapolate that onto the higher levels. I love that there's a whole breakdown of like, hey, here's how we balanced everything in terms of what classes get what ability and when, as well as the design philosophy for every class. I love it when any designer basically lets me look under the hood and see, well, how did you, get to where you are in terms of what the content you're giving me. And it's insightful for me to be able to see that and understand what the designer's ideas were and how they see every class and how they see every class in those epic levels. This is a large book, by the way. This is 68 total pages, so it's over 50 pages for just player content, because a lot of it is going to be the progression for every single class and subclass, which I also appreciate, because you gain your subclass at like what, second or third level, sometimes even first level in some cases. Although I think they're changing all that for the new 2024 edition. I should clarify, this is for, I'm gonna have to start doing that, aren't I? This is for the D&D 2014 edition, 14 versus the new 24 edition. And you get your subclass, and then this adds those additional abilities for the subclasses in addition to the base class itself. Now, a lot of these, especially spellcasters, are just like, well, you're going to get better spellcasters, or you're going to keep doing your things that you're doing, very well. So the artificer can make, some additional trinkets. For example, the barbarian is better at raging. I love the fact that they can actually tear a hole through walls of force and force cage, which are kind of the bane of every, DM and player, to be fair. Just once you get to the high level of play, you're just kind of using those straight up denial abilities. And there's some cool fighter and barbarian things that just your sheer strength and badassness lets you just tear through those forceful abilities. Because again, this is high level stuff. You're like level 25 or 26 when you're getting these abilities. Like, yeah, you should be pretty damn powerful at that point. There's a whole thing about Blood Hunter, which I don't know. I think is that the critical role class I think they added, that's technically sort of official, but hasn't really been an official book, I believe. Somebody can probably correct me on that. So I can't really comment on what it adds to that one. But like all the ones that have a shit ton of subclasses, like the cleric and the wizard, get a bunch of, new subclass abilities, which is pretty cool. I like all their new features and things. I do want to point out a few of them specifically, because there's too many for me to actually go over in this review. But like the epic druid, for example, at 24th, and then at 30th, they can choose another one. One of the things they can choose is just to change their wild shape, or add plant creatures onto their wild shape, which is pretty cool. I feel like we should have a plant subclass. The regeneration, you stop aging and gain 10 hit points at the end of each minute, and you can also regenerate lost limbs. That's pretty insane to have, I think. There's a bunch of really cool, wild shape features with Circle of the Moon, where you can suddenly add monstrosities, and I believe every, you get at like 21, you get a CR of 2 with your wild shapes, and that actually increases as your epic shape goes up. Fighter gets a lot of cool custom abilities, since the fighter kind of relies on special abilities. There's no extra systems like spells in place for the fighter. One of the things I really like, called pincer maneuver, is you can sort of turn critical hits into normal hits. So like you've got built-in adamantine armor, I guess, and then you can also make a special weapon attack on top of that. So like you love crits all of a sudden, which is crazy. You can also add similar to the barbarian's ability to tear through the force field. Whenever you do your action surge, you draw on your legendary inner strength to empower your might to a godlike height for 1 minute, allowing you to shrug off magic. So you can't be magically reduced, and you can move through creations of force, such as those created by Force Cage or Wall of Force spells. Designer definitely knows high level play is probably going to revolve around those bullshit force wall abilities. Also, at 30th level, the capstone is really cool. I feel like maybe it should have been introduced earlier, but you gain warfare points, which is this whole extra dice system, and it almost works like an adrenaline, where you get like a bunch for the first turn and then a little bit less as you go, but it lets you do even more, kind of cool things where you're giving out like hit points or just adding on to weapon attacks or something. The monk has a lot of cool, again, custom bespoke abilities, like gaining the ability to see invisibility, casting detect magic and clairvoyance with key points. At 25th level, the Mantle of Serenity is a neat feature where when you roll initiative, other creatures cannot attack you or target you directly with spells until you have done a harmful action. So that really solves an issue. Although you've probably got high dex, you're probably rolling pretty high anyway. But if somebody gets higher than you, they can still do area effect spells since they're not directly targeting you, like a fireball or something. But I thought that was actually a really clever, interesting ability. I don't think I've ever seen another class supplement invoke, which is a kind of interesting defensive maneuver that protects you until it's at least your first turn, and then you take an action. And maybe don't take an offensive action, but presumably you probably would. The Epic Rogue just no longer has disadvantage on anything. Which one is, yeah, adaptable. At 21st level, you no longer suffer a disadvantage on any rolls. That's kind of crazy, but all right, you're pretty epic. You've got some skills. Although it does say disadvantage still negates any advantage you might have. So you can still be canceled out of your advantage if you would have disadvantage, but you can never actually have disadvantage yourself, which is just, I don't know, I thought that was kind of hilarious. You can also, as one of the abilities, which I forgot which one it is, I think it's this one, advantageous dodge, where if an attack misses you, you can deflect that attack to hit a neighboring enemy. So just, you've turned into a giant pain in the ass to fight, which feels very roguish. The Epic Sorcerer, there's one ability I loved called Intensify Spell, where you really go just Super Saiyan nuclear mode. You can use all your spell slots for a single level with a minimum of 3 in order to maximize the dice effect, which is probably going to be damage, let's be honest. You're probably casting a fireball or something, or lightning bolt, and then double it. So you're using 3 spell slots, and the example it gives here, I believe, is cast Fireball using all of your 5th level spell slots, minimum of 3, to deal 120 fire damage in a 40-foot radius. It also doubles the area of effect, rather than 10d6 damage in a 20-foot radius if you had just used a single 5th level spell slot. Also, it cannot be interrupted by spells or effects such as the counter spell. Wow, that's a cool feature. You can use it once per short rest. That's a 24th level. That's neat. And that's the kind of thing I'm looking at. Like, there's a lot of abilities in here that are perfectly fine, but they're just like normal, what you would expect. Like, okay, you've got your ASIs, your abilities increase, you get like another channel divinity at so-and-so level, right? It just kind of like, yes, it's very obviously great having those rules built in here, so I don't have to do that work. But a lot of them are just, extrapolating what we've got from level 1 to 20. So part of what I was really looking for is, okay, what are the really cool, clever new abilities that you've given me? And I've just told you a bunch that I think are some of my favorite and are particularly interesting and creative. Though Warlock gets probably the most amount of love and attention of anybody, and it even said in the design philosophy at the beginning that the Warlock is such a unique class in that they've got their own, packs and boons and invocations and all these different features that they kind of just had to do their own separate category, because the other categories were like full caster, half caster, martial. This is just Warlock is the, is basically the category here. And the Warlock gets so many crazy cool abilities and features. The Fiend especially is so awesome. You can, when you kill people, because one of their signature abilities, you kill people, or you kill enemies, and you get to gain, I think, temporary hit points. This one, you can steal their identity and like hop into their like body and take on their form, kind of like the Bard. What's that Bard Whisper ability? We can take on like the shadowy form or something. That's really cool. Or you can like absorb their memories or something. It gets really like dark and crazy cool. I love that feature. Also, invocations. There are over 20 new Warlock invocations included here, which is a super amount of love that I appreciate. How about the 30th level capstone abilities of casting Fire Shield at will without expending a spell slot, so you're just fucking Human Torch now. Or Ultimate Gift, where you gain immortality. That seems like a pretty good ability to grab. Obviously, you've got other ones you can take as you level up, but something I really always love and respect about the Warlock is that they have a lot of level prerequisites built in. So you've got choices as a player when you're leveling up, but you can't just always select like the best of the best, and they kind of scale and balance appropriately. So very, very cool abilities there. So huge shout out to the Warlock in particular. Other than all of those class features, which that right there is, what page are we on? 44. So we've got 40 pages of class progression. That is enough for a high level, supplement book that allows you to progress through all those levels and play those high level games. Although good luck to the DM, because there's no, it's up to the DM to actually create the content for these incredibly powerful players. However, in addition to that, but wait, there's more. Epic racial features, which I guess are going to be called epic species features soon with D&D 24 edition, adds at 25th level, your race gets an additional feature, which I like the idea, because it's saying, even though you have trained and become such a badass, like you physically have just been you're stronger now, and whatever it's usually obviously based on what your early racial features are. So, for example, the Dragonborn, can breathe fire, or the dwarves got like poison resistance, or the elf gets a free spell. I guess it's the high elf specifically that gets like a free cantrip or something. And this kind of builds on that, where it gives you a lot of those extra abilities or features. Sometimes it's just, hey, your breath attack is better. But it includes all of the like extra ones from every single like supplement. These aren't just player handbook races. There's over 50 of them here, which I didn't even realize there was that many, but I guess I should have, because there's been a lot of books in the 10-year span of 5e. So just about everything, including, I think even the Ravnica thing, like the Simic hybrid is here. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. Loxodon, yeah, like everybody's here. The Kobold gets the wings that the high level Kobolds get. The UNT can shape change into a large snake. There's a lot of cool things. The gnome can build this little device that lets them find like secret doors and traps and things. Awesome. I love this feature. That's very cool and built in. However, fuck the drow for getting a free Leomund's tiny hut once per short rest. That is the DM's bane, and you just gave it to him. Now, granted, the DM's got all kinds of problems at 25th level, so that's probably a drop in the bucket, and we're probably not doing just random encounters, but I don't know. That seems funny. That's like, I don't know what thematically is the drow hut. They automatically get this like free pup tent that they can fill up there. But yeah, that's probably the least of my worries at this point. But wait, there's more. There's more mythic progression. So you've made it to 30th level. I'm Captain America, turning the chair around, sitting it down. Sensei. So you made it to 30th level, and you still want to play these characters. Your DM has just lost their fucking mind, and somehow we are now traversing planes. We are doing galactic warfare. We're fighting gods, which we're pretty much already doing from 21 to 30. But now that we're at 30th level, and you still want to be able to reward your players, we don't have level progression anymore. Stop asking me to level up. You're level 30. Sit down. However, what we can do here, best I can do, is I can give you mythic boons, mythic spells, and mythic maneuvers. These are specific rewards based similarly to the, I think they're called epic boons from the Dungeon Master's Guide, which is the idea that you can give players these kind of permanent upgrades or features as rewards for, whatever thing you want. That's not like a magic item or not experience or something, but just a new feature you give them. This is specifically for 30th level characters who are either getting a reward for doing some amazing quest, or just, it says, consider awarding one epic boon to every character for every 300,000 experience. Okay, so we're still tracking experience at this level. Are you freaking kidding me? But fine, okay. But this is a very awesome feature for folks that want to do that. This has got to be the niche of the niche if you want to play this high level play, and I can't imagine the DM that has to handle this stuff. But it's divided up into 3 tiers and 3 categories. So mythic boons are kind of for everybody, in that they are a bunch of just very useful passive abilities that pretty much most people would find very useful. So like having, dark vision or blind sight, or damage resistance, or more spell slots, or more hit points, or gaining abilities from other, races and classes that you can kind of really just min-max until you've broken the game. That's fine. Ability scores can go up to just epic levels, as you would imagine. That's cool. That's first tier, which is considered superhero. I would already consider like 20th level to be superhero. Second level is considered demigod, where you've got more powerful boons. And then third level is considered to be straight up godlike, where you just have game-breakingly powerful abilities that you can, or these are passive abilities specifically. So like huge amounts of, straight up like legendary resistance, or, hit points being increased, true sight, just whatever kind of godlike features that you want. But let's say, okay, passive abilities are fine, but I like doing things. Well, I like doing things too. That's for your mythic maneuvers. These are for probably your marshals or your half-casters who are more martial based, in that they want to do cool things. They want to gain new abilities. These are here. These are all very much based on the fighter battle master maneuvers, in that you get a dice. This is a mythic dice. You get twice the dice for the level maneuver. So for example, you take a first level mythic maneuver, you would gain 2 mythic dice. It's a d20. A lot of them require you to roll the dice and then have that do the effect of the thing. Others are just you expend it to, for example, invincibility. You can reduce the damage to 0 from taking any kind of damage, and that is limited to at least once per short rest. And this is also tiered for first, second level, and third level. And it's kind of, the tier is obviously just a guide for the DM to use, but also it says you have to have a certain amount of, I believe, first levels before you can even take the second level and then take the third level, which just get absolutely ridiculous, where you can just polymorph yourself into whatever, change your size, just turn into the Hulk with leaping around. It gets nuts. And then, of course, the spellcasters are not left out in that you get over 40 new mythic spells. Same thing in the 3 different tiers. So first level, second level, and third level of mythic spells. These are just about as insane as you can imagine, where you can create permanent portals, you can permanently duplicate yourself, you can permanently enslave a creature, which feels like that's a little problematic, although they do get to repeat this. It's like super charm person, I guess. You can conjure a dragon. You can gain 100 temporary hit points. You can create your own astral plane. You can disappear and turn and summon this incredibly scary dream larva creature. You can destroy a creature on the molecular level. You can raise whole islands. There's a spell called Ultimate Wish, which is basically you just turn into Scarlet Witch doing no more mutants. Shout out to Marvel Comics around 2005-ish, I think, maybe 4. That did the whole House of M storyline. Just absolute insanity, which I would expect. This, I can't comment on the balance here, right? There is no balance. You're so high level. I don't know what DM would subject themselves to this, which is not a complaint. It's just, I don't know. This is a very limited niche book, I think, and I would love to see the other side of the table for this book, which is the DM, rules for creatures, especially, and adventures that would necessitate a level 30th party to go after it. I think that's more just a 5e issue and a balance issue overall. I will say I think this book does a remarkable job of feeling relatively balanced, with the caveat that it's also just insanely high level play, and I'm not sure it can ever be properly fully balanced. Let's go over my pros and cons for Epic Characters. Pro, level 21 to 30 progression for all 14 classes, including the Artificer and Blood Hunter. That's the majority of the book. It's all right there. Everything feels like you would expect it to in terms of the spell slots and the damage dice going up, and there's some really cool, creative, interesting abilities in there along the way. Over 20 new Warlock invocations. Shout out to specifically the Warlock, who gets a lot of special love and attention because it kind of needs it because of how different the class is. Over 50 epic racial features, which is one of my favorite parts of the book because that's just a neat idea of, just upgrading the race part of your build rather than just looking at the class part. And I think that I agree with the designer's philosophy that it should be upgraded and you should be like just physically more powerful and have, upgraded yourself to a higher level after, I think it's at 25th level is when you get it. So it's not immediately on getting, 21st level. And then as another pro, I kind of included all these together under one bullet point, which is over 50 mythic boons, over 40 mythic spells, and over 30 mythic maneuvers for those of you that want to run incredibly high level 30th level play. Or what you could do is say, you know what, I don't want to actually do the whole progression system for 21 to 30, but maybe I just want to reward players with one-time cool abilities that feel very high level and impactful. Well, this gives you a ton of options for doing that. So I would almost suggest, hey, maybe take a look at these, especially the first level ones. Yeah, they're designed for 30th level, but maybe if you balance things out, you can kind of hand out a few of these for your 20th level players and see how that goes instead of doing this full progression system. So just the fact that that's there and you can use it as a DM is very, very awesome. Cons, I really have no complaints here. I have worries about how to do high level play and who needs it. But in terms of what the book it sets out to do, which is provide like all the content that a player character would need to go from level 20 to 30 and beyond, I think it absolutely succeeds on that, which brings me to our final verdict. With 10 levels of class progression and dozens of new features, boons, and spells, Epic Characters features a ridiculous amount of content to support impressively balanced high-level play on the player's side. Thank you to everyone for watching this video review. You can see my written review at roguewatson.com, and you can watch more reviews and follow our own D&D adventures here on the channel, and you can support my work at patreon.com/roguewatson. Thank you.